The quantum lab at MIT hummed with the familiar rhythm of machinery as Dr. Sarah Chen adjusted her equipment for the 1,000th time. The holographic display before her showed patterns that shouldn't exist, quantum entanglement chains that defied conventional physics. She'd been chasing this theory for 3 years, and tonight, something felt different. The lab's silence broke with an alarm she'd never heard before. The quantum patterns in her display began shifting, forming impossible geometries. Sarah stepped back, her heart racing as the air itself seemed to crystallize around her equipment. A sphere of light materialized in the center of her lab, expanding until it touched the ceiling. When the light faded, she found herself facing 3 tall, silver-skinned beings. Their bodies seemed to flow like mercury, and their eyes held the cold calculation of supercomputers. The Nexians had arrived, and Earth's first contact would begin in a quantum physics lab at 3 a.m. Primitive. The tallest one spoke, its thoughts translating directly into English through some unseen technology. Your species attempts to understand quantum mechanics with individual minds. Inefficient. Flawed. Sarah straightened her lab coat, pushing down her fear. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen. You're standing in the middle of an experiment that just proved quantum consciousness can exist in non-networked systems. The Nexian's silver skin rippled with what she assumed was amusement. We are the Nexian Collective. For 10,000 years, we have mastered quantum reality through our unified consciousness. Your individual mind cannot comprehend the complexities we navigate. Sarah gestured to her holographic display. Then explained these patterns. I've documented quantum entanglement chains that shouldn't be possible according to standard models. Single particles maintaining coherence across unprecedented distances. The lead Nexian moved closer, its liquid metal form reflecting the lab's blue lights. Impossible. Such patterns require a unified field of consciousness to maintain stability. Your species lacks the neural network necessary for such observations. Unless, Sarah countered, pulling up her data, consciousness itself isn't dependent on network size but on complexity. One human brain contains more neural connections than some entire planetary networks. We may be individuals, but that gives us something you lack: perspective. The Nexians conferred silently, their bodies shifting like mercury in a gravitational field. Sarah could feel them probing her lab systems, analyzing her years of research in seconds. Their dismissive attitude began to shift to something else. Confusion. Your patterns are valid, the lead Nexian finally admitted, but they contradict our fundamental understanding of quantum consciousness. The collective has never encountered individual minds capable of such observations. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Maybe that's because you've been looking at it wrong. You view individual consciousness as a limitation. We see it as our greatest strength. Each human mind is a unique quantum system, capable of perspectives and innovations that a unified network might never consider. The Nexian's silver skin darkened with what might have been concern. This requires further study. You will come with us to the collective. Your research must be verified. I'll come, Sarah agreed, but as a collaborator, not a test subject. Humanity just proved we understand something about quantum reality that your entire collective missed. I think that earns us some respect. The lead Nexian was silent for a long moment. Agreed. But know this, Dr. Chen, if your theories prove incorrect, the collective will classify humanity as a primitive species, unworthy of further contact. Sarah began gathering her data tablets. And if I'm right, then everything we believed about consciousness, about the superiority of unified minds over individual ones, must be reevaluated. The implications would be significant. As Sarah stepped into the sphere of light with the Nexians, she couldn't help but smile. Humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to surprise, to think differently, to see patterns others missed. Now she had the chance to prove that to a civilization that had dismissed individual minds as primitive. The sphere of light engulfed them, and the lab vanished. Sarah Chen, armed with nothing but her research and her uniquely human perspective, was about to show an ancient alien collective that sometimes the greatest breakthroughs come not from thinking as one, but from thinking differently. The Nexian Collective's research facility stretched across an entire moon, its liquid metal architecture flowing like frozen waves. Sarah stood before the scientific council, her quantum data projected in the vast chamber. 12 senior Nexians, their silver forms more intricate than those she'd met on Earth, studied her findings with growing agitation. Impossible, declared first theorist Vex, its form rippling with disturbance. Your data suggests individual minds can achieve quantum coherent states previously thought exclusive to collective consciousness. Sarah highlighted a particular section of her research. Not just achieve them, surpass them. Human brains create quantum patterns more complex than anything your networks have documented. We're not just matching your collective consciousness, we're showing it has limitations you never considered. The chamber erupted in silent communication. The Nexians shared consciousness, debating at speeds Sarah could only imagine. She waited, knowing her next words could determine humanity's future among the stars. Your species is young. Second theorist Mira interjected. The collective has refined quantum consciousness for millennia. These patterns you've discovered must be anomalies, errors in your primitive measuring systems. Sarah pulled up a new dataset. Then explain this. When we isolated individual human minds during the experiments, each one generated unique quantum signatures, not random patterns, unique, stable configurations that your models say shouldn't exist without a supporting network. The council's agitation grew visible, their silver skin darkening to gunmetal gray. This contradicts the fundamental principles of unified consciousness theory, Vex stated. If correct, it would mean that consciousness isn't about network size or uniformity. Sarah completed. It's about complexity and diversity. Each human mind is a universe of quantum possibilities, unconstrained by the need to maintain network coherence. Dangerous, another council member pulsed. Unstable. Individual minds operating at such quantum levels risk cascade failures. The collective protects against such chaos. Sarah brought up her final piece of evidence, brain scans showing quantum activity during creative problem solving. What you call chaos, we call creativity. Human minds can explore quantum possibilities your network would reject as too risky. That's not a weakness. It's an evolutionary advantage. The council chamber darkened as the Nexians processed this challenge to their worldview. Sarah felt the weight of their collective attention, billions of networked minds focusing on her theory. We will test your claims, Vex announced. You will submit to direct quantum observation if your patterns prove replicable. A sudden alarm cut through the chamber. The liquid metal walls pulsed with red warning signs in Nexian script. Sarah watched as the council members froze, their network processing some urgent information. A containment failure in the quantum research sector, Mira announced. Our network is detecting pattern anomalies similar to those in your data, Dr. Chen. They're growing. What kind of containment failure? Sarah asked, already suspecting the answer. We've been attempting to artificially replicate human quantum consciousness patterns, Vex admitted. The simulations have become unstable, generating cascade effects through our network. Our unified consciousness can't predict or control their evolution. Sarah studied the warning displays, her individual mind free to consider possibilities the collective's risk-averse network would never explore. Let me help, she offered. Maybe it takes a human perspective to understand human quantum patterns. The council conferred briefly. Agreed. Vex decided. But know this, if your theories are wrong, if these patterns truly represent a danger to consciousness itself, the collective will have no choice but to classify humanity as a quantum hazard. The implications would be severe. Sarah gathered her equipment, her mind already racing with possibilities. And if I'm right, if I can show you that what you see as dangerous instability is actually the key to a whole new understanding of consciousness, then the collective will have to reevaluate everything we believe about the nature of mind itself. Vex's form shifted, creating a path toward the research sector. Quickly, Dr. Chen. The patterns are growing faster than our network can adapt. Sarah hurried after the council member, knowing she was about to either prove humanity's worth to an ancient civilization or confirm their worst fears about individual consciousness. The quantum patterns waiting in the research sector might reveal the true power of the human mind, or tear reality itself apart. The research sector's walls writhed with quantum distortions as Sarah and Vex arrived. Next-gen scientists moved in perfect synchronization, their unified consciousness attempting to contain the growing anomaly. At the chamber center, a quantum simulation chamber pulsed with impossible colors. Our attempts to replicate human consciousness patterns created something we can't control, Vex explained. The quantum signatures are evolving faster than our collective can process them. Sarah studied the readings on her tablet. The patterns matched her theoretical models, but with one crucial difference. You tried to force individual quantum signatures into your network architecture. That's like trying to run analog code on a digital system. It was never going to work. The chamber shuddered. Fractal patterns of quantum energy spread across the walls, creating microscopic ruptures in space-time itself. The Nexian scientists' movements became erratic as the anomaly interfered with their network coherence. The collective is losing stability, Vex announced, its silver form flickering. These human consciousness patterns are creating quantum feedback loops we can't predict or contain. Sarah connected her tablet to the Nexian systems. Because you're trying to understand chaos through order. Human consciousness isn't a unified system. It's billions of competing possibilities existing simultaneously. The moment you try to force it into a single pattern, the pattern becomes unstable, Vex finished. But without unified control, how can such a system avoid collapse? Sarah pulled up her original research. It doesn't avoid collapse. It embraces it. Every human thought is a controlled collapse of quantum possibilities. We don't need network stability because instability is our natural state. The chamber's quantum containment fields began to fail. The Nexian scientists withdrew, their collective consciousness unable to process the cascading chaos. But Sarah stepped closer, her individual mind uniquely suited to navigate the quantum storm. "What are you doing?" Vex demanded. "Without network support, direct contact with these patterns could destroy your consciousness." "Individual human minds evolved to surf chaos," Sarah replied, integrating her quantum theories into the containment systems. "We don't need a network because each of us is already a complete quantum system. Watch." She initiated her modified containment protocols. Instead of trying to force the quantum patterns into stable configurations, her system created controlled interference patterns, using the chaos to cancel itself out. The fractal distortions began to recede. "Impossible," Vex observed. "You're not controlling the patterns at all. You're learning from them," Sarah completed. "Each quantum signature represents a potential configuration of consciousness. Your collective tries to enforce a single pattern. We let billions of patterns interact naturally." The quantum storm subsided, leaving behind new, stable configurations that defied Nexian physics. Sarah's tablet recorded everything, documenting the emergence of quantum consciousness patterns that could only exist in individual minds. "Your solution was to embrace chaos," Vex said, studying the results. "To allow quantum patterns to find their own stability without network control." Sarah nodded. "Human consciousness evolved alongside quantum chaos. We don't need external stability because we carry our own quantum coherence. Each human mind is a self-contained universe of possibilities." The other Nexian scientists returned, their network analyzing Sarah's solution with growing fascination. Their dismissive attitude toward individual consciousness had been replaced by something new: uncertainty. "This changes everything," Vex declared. "If consciousness can achieve quantum coherence without network support, if individual minds can navigate chaos states that collectives cannot, then maybe it's time to reevaluate what you think you know about consciousness itself," Sarah suggested. "Human minds aren't primitive versions of your collective. They're a completely different approach to quantum existence. Vex's form shifted, expressing what might have been respect. The Council must see these results. Your solution suggests possibilities the collective never considered. Perhaps individual consciousness is not an evolutionary dead end, but a path we abandoned too quickly. Sarah gathered her data, knowing she'd just demonstrated something profound about the nature of human consciousness. In trying to prove humanity's worth, she'd revealed something even more fundamental, that the true power of the human mind lay not in its ability to maintain order, but in its capacity to thrive in chaos. The Nexian homeworld sky burned with quantum fire. Sarah watched from the council chamber as reality itself seemed to unravel, the collective consciousness of trillions of Nexians, unable to contain the cascading breakdown of their quantum network. "It's spreading," Vex reported, its silver form destabilizing. "The anomaly we created while studying human consciousness patterns has infected our entire network. Our collective consciousness is fragmenting." Sarah's quantum readings confirmed her worst fears. The Nexians' attempt to replicate human consciousness had created a cascade effect, introducing chaos into their perfectly ordered network. Their unified mind was being forced to experience something it had never evolved to handle: individual thought. "Your network is trying to maintain a single quantum state across trillions of nodes," Sarah explained. "But the human consciousness patterns you introduced are forcing it to hold multiple states simultaneously, like a computer trying to run every possible program at once. The collective is failing," Mira announced, her form flickering between solid and liquid states. "We are experiencing separation, individuality. We cannot maintain coherence." Sarah connected her tablet to the Nexian systems, analyzing the cascade. "Your entire civilization is built on the assumption that consciousness requires unity. But what if that's your greatest weakness? What if consciousness needs diversity to survive?" The quantum fire reached the council chamber, reality rippling as the network's breakdown accelerated. The Nexians began to lose their unified form, individual consciousness emerging from their splintering collective. "Help us," Vex pleaded, experiencing individual fear for the first time in its existence. "The collective cannot survive this separation." Sarah uploaded her research data directly into the failing network. "Maybe it's not supposed to survive. At least not in its current form. Human consciousness works because each mind is both individual and connected. We don't force unity. We achieve it through diversity." She modified her containment protocols, not to stop the cascade but to guide it. "Instead of fighting the separation, embrace it. Let each node of your network develop its own quantum signature while maintaining loose connections with the whole." That would mean the end of the collective as we know it, Mira realized, struggling with concepts that had never existed in their unified consciousness. "It would mean evolution," Sarah countered. "Your network is already changing. The question is whether you'll fight that change until it destroys you, or adapt and become something new." The quantum fire reached its peak, the entire Nexian civilization hovering on the edge of collapse. Sarah's modifications began to take effect, allowing individual quantum signatures to stabilize while maintaining network connections. Slowly, the chaos began to organize itself into new patterns. The Nexians experienced something unprecedented: unity through diversity rather than uniformity. Each node in their network became capable of individual thought while remaining connected to the whole. "The patterns, they're stabilizing," Vex observed, its form solidifying into something new. "Neither purely individual nor fully collective. But everything is different. We are. I am. You're becoming something your civilization has never seen before," Sarah explained. "A network of individual minds, each contributing its unique perspective to the whole. Like humanity, but on a quantum level." The quantum fire subsided, leaving behind a transformed civilization. The Nexians were no longer a single consciousness, but billions of connected minds, each capable of independent thought while sharing a deeper connection than humans could achieve. We were wrong, Mira admitted, experiencing the novelty of personal revelation. Individual consciousness isn't primitive. It's essential for true quantum evolution. Without it, we were stagnant, unable to adapt to new patterns. Sarah monitored the stabilizing network, watching as the Nexian civilization reorganized itself around this new paradigm. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't in enforcing order, but in finding harmony within chaos. Humanity learned that lesson through evolution. You're learning it through transformation. 6 months after the transformation of Nexian society, Sarah stood before the new council, a gathering of minds that were neither fully individual nor completely collective. The chamber hummed with quantum energy as billions of connected consciousness patterns created something entirely new in the universe. The integration of human quantum consciousness patterns has transformed our civilization. Vex reported, its form now a subtle blend of solid and fluid states. We have achieved a state of dynamic equilibrium between individual thought and collective awareness. Sarah's latest readings confirmed their success. The Nexians had evolved into a quantum network that preserved individual consciousness while maintaining deeper connections than humanity had yet achieved. You've created something unprecedented, she noted, a civilization that combines the strengths of both approaches to consciousness. And yet, Mira added, we still cannot fully replicate human quantum patterns. Your minds remain unique in the universe, capable of generating consciousness configurations that even our evolved network cannot predict. The implications of their discovery had rippled across known space. Other civilizations that had dismissed humanity as primitive were now sending observers to Earth, studying the species that had sparked such a profound transformation in one of the galaxy's oldest cultures. We propose an exchange, Vex announced. Humanity has shown us the value of individual consciousness. In return, we offer access to our network technology. Perhaps together, we can discover what consciousness might become when individual and collective truly merge. Sarah considered the possibilities, a partnership between human creativity and Nexian connectivity. The quantum possibilities would be endless. More than that, Mira interjected. We believe this may be the next step in cosmic evolution. Not the dominance of collective over individual, but the harmony of both. Humanity's gift to the universe may be showing us that true advancement comes not from eliminating diversity, but from embracing it. The chamber filled with a new kind of quantum resonance as human and Nexian consciousness patterns interacted. Sarah watched her readings spike with previously impossible configurations. We're already generating new patterns just by working together, she observed. Quantum signatures that couldn't exist in either of our species alone. Then perhaps this was inevitable, Vex suggested. Perhaps the universe itself requires both chaos and order, individual and collective, to achieve its full potential. Humanity didn't just save our civilization. Dr. Chen, you showed us that what we thought was a weakness was actually the key to unlocking the next level of cosmic consciousness. Sarah smiled as new quantum patterns danced across her display. We still have so much to learn from each other. This isn't an ending, it's a beginning. The chamber resonated with agreement, individual and collective consciousness harmonizing in ways that would have been impossible months ago. The Nexians had learned that true strength comes not from enforcing uniformity, but from embracing diversity. And humanity had proven that sometimes the species others dismiss as primitive might hold the key to unlocking the universe's deepest mysteries. Together, they had discovered that consciousness itself was far more complex and beautiful than either species had imagined. The future would be written not by those who insisted on the superiority of their way of thinking, but by those who were willing to learn from perspectives they had once dismissed as inferior. As Sarah prepared to return to Earth with the first wave of Nexian researchers, she knew that this was just the first step in a journey that would transform both species. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for minds capable of bridging the gap between individual and collective consciousness. Humanity's greatest gift hadn't been proving others wrong. It had been showing them a new way to be right.